Hello, it's me, Robin, with Simple Food, Simple Life. How are you today? Going to be a hot one. So it's before 8 o'clock in the morning. It is Thursday, August the 24th, 2023. I'm going to make some personal size pizza crusts for the freezer. So I'm going to get it done before it gets too hot today. Now, I'm using my pizza dough recipe here, which I've used for many years. And this is also compatible if you have a bread maker. It works great in there. I will put the recipe down below, but in this plastic container, I have put 3.5 cups of flour, 1 cup of I'm going to put 1 cup of water, 2 tablespoons of yeast, which is a packet of fast rising instant yeast, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. The original recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of honey, but I have no honey. And it calls for 1/4 cup of olive oil. You can use whatever you prefer, that's fine, it doesn't matter. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now, this is what I do. Because I'm using instant yeast, I'm not going to proof this yeast at all. It really isn't necessary if you're going to use instant yeast. That's not a big deal. I'm going to pour in the oil. I'm going to pour in 1 cup of water. This is actually warm water. It's warm to the touch. It's not hot. And I'm going to get this all mixed up, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, now I've got it all mixed up. I used my wooden spoon. Now I'm going to get in there with my hands, and I'm going to just kind of knead it around a little bit until it is everything is incorporated. I did add a little bit more water. Sometimes that's necessary in probably almost any kind of dough or bread recipe you use. So you have to adjust accordingly. So I just added a little bit at a time until it started to come together like this. So I'm not going to knead it or anything really. I'm just going to incorporate it with my hands and until it forms a nice dough ball. I suppose you could call that kneading, but honestly it's not that much work. Okie doke, this really only took a couple of minutes, and I didn't even take it out of the bowl. Now, or container. Actually, I put a little bit of oil on the top of the dough. I put some oil around the bottom of the container, and that's all you need to do. You can use oil spray. Honestly, you just use whatever you like, whatever you have available to you. You can even put shortening on the top, butter, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. So, now, here's the beauty of this, the way I do this. It is in this container. I'm going to put the lid on the container. It's a good snug fitting lid. I have 2 of these. I love them. I use them for all kinds of things. And so I'm going to put the lid snugly on the container. The dough is on the inside. And I'm going to stick this in the oven. Now, I'm not going to turn the oven on, but I do turn my oven light on, and I'm going to let this rise until it is doubled in size. So that's all there is to it. I usually put it, set the timer for about an hour, and then when it goes off, I check it to see if it's where I want it to be. It's usually fine. So, all right, we'll come back and look at it when it is doubled in size. Okay, I want to show you this real quick. This is after an hour. See how it's rising? Now, I'm going to put it back in the oven with the light on. The oven is not turned on, remember. And I'm going to put it in there for another hour. This feels nicely, perfectly warm. Okay? So I'll set my timer. I'm going to put it in there for another hour. But I just wanted to show you this. Okay. The timer's gone off. It's been in there a couple hours total. So I'm pretty happy with this rise. So what we're going to do next is we're going to just press it down. We're going to get the air out of it. Now, what do you think? Has this been pretty easy so far? Put in the comments. Tell me what you think. I've watched quite a few videos over time of how to do pizza crust, and I'm not joking. People get so complicated about it. I've used this for years, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it's years. Okay, so all right, now I've got my knife here, and I'm going to, while it is in here, I'm going to divide this up. I'm going to cut it into sections. Try to do this without it flopping around all over the place, because I've got one hand here. Okay. And the reason why I'm dividing this up is because I'm going to try to make equal portions to bake individual crusts. Okay, so here we go. That's one. Okay, you can make these as thick or as thin as you like. See how easily that came up from there? See that it's not sticky. Okay, all right, now we'll get back to that in a second, but I want to show you this. If you want to make individual crusts, now there's nothing to say you can't make a big pizza or 2 big pizzas. That's fine. I think this would make like 2 10 or 12 inch pizzas, depending on how thick you want the crust, or if it's a deep dish. But I want to show you something. I bake my personal size pizza crusts in these pans. This is a cake pan. It's a 9-inch cake pan. I have 2 of them. Okay. If you have something like that, you can use that if you want to do the individual. You can use a pie plate. That's fine too. How about a heart-shaped pizza? Okay, I'm just trying to show you. It's a pan. You can put a pizza crust in that. How about a pan like this? This is just a pan. As you can see, it's actually, this is a Pampered Chef dish. That's oven proof, and it is like smaller. It's smaller than this. You can see how small, right? Okay, it's probably about an 8-inch. So I'm just saying there's all kinds of vessels that you can use to make your pizza crust. There's 2 things. Either use parchment paper to keep it from sticking, or make sure that you grease or oil your pan so that your crust does not stick. Okay? Those are 2 different ways you could keep your crust from sticking. All right? Now, I'm going to take one of these little pods here, and I have 4 of them. Okay? You can see. So, I'm going to take one of these, and I'm going to show you how I put it in the pan. Now, you don't need to raise this again. These are all ready for you to bake your crust. Okay, so let me show you how I do this. All right, I've rolled these up into balls, and I'm going to take one, and I'm going to put it in this pan. I've greased the pan. You don't need a rolling pin. You don't need to roll it out on flour. You don't need to dirty up your countertop at all. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to press the dough until it fits the pan. I started to say fan. Until it fits the pan. Okay? If I wasn't holding the camera, it would go a little faster, but I had a glitch in my filming. So there was a part left out. I wanted to show you this. This is, I use this, it is actually a steak roller, and that's what it says on the handle. I picked this up at a flea market about 30 years ago. So this is what I use to put divots in my crust. to keep it from bubbling up in the center. If you don't have one of these, and this is the only thing I ever use this for, I got it specifically to roll the crust, divots in the crust when I make pizza. If you don't have one of these, that's fine. That's not a big deal. You can use your fingertips to press divots down in your crust. You can prick it with a fork, whatever you prefer to do, and that will keep your crust from bubbling up. Okay? All right. I just wanted to show you that because something got messed up. I'm sure it was an operator error. I am sure. My husband used to say, you have to be smarter than the thing you are trying to operate. Amen to that. Okie doke, here we are. I have 2 crusts ready to go into the oven. My oven is not quite preheated, so they're going to go in. Now, I'm going to put these on the middle rack, and they are going to par bake, which means you're not going to bake them all the way until they're golden or brown or whatever. I'm just going to bake them until they are slightly baked. In other words, they're going to firm up a little bit. They'll probably be pale in color. They're probably not going to be golden brown. I'm going to leave them in there for about 7 minutes at 400 degrees. That's all I want to do. I want to just firm them up because these are going to go in the freezer. Okay? All right. So when these get done, I will show you what these look like. In the meantime, I've got 2 dough balls left here, so I'm going to put the lid back on it because I don't want them to dry out. Okay, these are done. They were in about 7 or 8 minutes or so. Your ovens may vary, so you adjust the time to suit yourself. You can see how white they are. Okay. They're still slightly soft. They're not going to be firm. Okay. So we're going to let these sit for a few minutes before I take them out of the pan. I'm going to put them on this rack to cool off. They have to cool off completely. And then you can store them in a zip bag in the freezer. This should hold all 4 of the pizza crusts. Okay? Now then, why do I do this? You know, I'm by myself. I'm an old lady. Why do I do this? Okay, I do it because it is convenient. It's part of ingredient prep or meal prep for me, which I like to do sometimes. So this enables me to just have a pizza anytime I want. And I just put on whatever ingredients I want, which is what you're going to do. You're just going to put on your ingredients with whatever you like, however you do. It's no different than if you were to make a pizza from scratch and go through all that and make your pizza. It's you put on it whatever you like. And then you're going to bake it in about a 400-degree oven. You can put it in a pan or you can put it on a pizza pan. It doesn't matter. A baking sheet, whatever you want. And then you're going to bake it at about 400 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. Okay? Just depends. You can be the judge of that. So that's all you're going to do. And you just make the pizza however you want. Let's say, and kids love these things, these personal size pizzas. They really love them. And plus that, they can make their own pizza. They can put on their pizza whatever they like. You know, a lot of kids just like cheese. Some kids want pepperoni and cheese. It just kind of depends. Or maybe you come home from work and you're tired and you don't want to mess with anything. Grab one of your pre-made pizza crusts and have a pizza. And you're just minutes away from having a pizza. You don't have to thaw the crust out first either. Just take it out of the freezer. Now, my 2 youngest granddaughters are at university. They share an apartment together. And my daughter makes she'll make up 15 to 20 of these pizza crusts to send with them to have at their place so that they can make a pizza anytime they want to because they're busy. They're struggling students, all kinds of reasons to have food if you're a student that's easy to prepare. How about if you're a single person? How about if you're a fellow that lives alone or a gal that lives alone? Or you're just a person like me who just wants to make life a little bit easier. if you do a little bit of work up front, it's going to save you a lot of time and effort on the other end. Okay? All right. That's it for me today. I'm going to get these out of the pan, and I'm going to put them on the rack. Here you go. I'm going to let these cool off completely before I put them in the bag. And you can even flash freeze them. Just lay them on the rack. You can freeze them and then put them in the bag. Either way, just make sure that they are completely cold or frozen before you put them in the bag, because you don't want them to stick to each other. Now, if you're going to use the same pans to bake the other pods in, or the other dough balls, just make sure that your pans are cooled off, and make sure you re-grease them, because that's going to be important so they don't stick. And if you see, they do get a little bit golden on the bottom, but that's it. These are perfectly par baked crusts, ready to go. So you don't have to buy pre-made crusts. You can do it yourself if you've got the ingredients. There's not that many ingredients. Okay? All right. That is it. I hope this helps you. And you know that little is much when God is in it. It's a great thing to be able to do, and it doesn't matter if you're not doing it every week. Guess what? You have the skills. Don't make it harder than it has to be. See, I didn't dirty up my countertop. I don't have flour everywhere. I used the one container. It works great. I've been doing it this way for a very long time. Okay? All right. I love you guys. You know I do. Please like, subscribe, and share, because everybody needs to know how to do this stuff, right? And be sure and comment and let me know what you think, or let me know what you do. Maybe you do something different. All right. I love you, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.